So does the version file in GitLab EE need to be updated before we kick off the omnibus pipeline? I thought
Because
no,
essentially it's from master, right? So it should always be,
it's not from master, it's from a tag.
It's from a tag from a deployed branch.
but we're finding a green build on master.
Okay, so there was the task to find the latest green build on master, but for auto deploy, we're doing the pick into the auto deploy branch, and then we have this job here that finds the green commit on the auto deploy branch and then triggers a package in deploy.
Yes.
So it's on this branch. We look for the latest green commit.
Right, we can give the green commit thing any rep we want, so it'll be a branch.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
in that branch are those version files that say,
Right, yeah, and do those version files need to be updated?
no, because that's,
No, they need to be read and committed into Omnibus.
that's what we get.
That's what we do. All right.
What
we're
does it mean to commit into omnibus? I don't
So
understand.
basically, sorry.
We don't commit them to Omnibus, we pass the values of those version files to Omnibus's trigger, right?
How?
Right. So for non self-managed release. So for everything else, we can probably just pass the version file. Yes.
Yes.
For
So-
tagged releases, it's
So
better.
confused.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
confusing.
I'm not confused. I'm confused because there isn't a trigger for omnibus. It's a tag that triggers the act of tagging omnibus
We
kicks off
created,
the pipeline.
Starbuck wrote a thing, I don't understand.
No.
We read the version files and then it triggers something, what does it trigger?
It triggers a build for Omnibus.
All right, and
Okay,
passes
so
all the
it
It
versions.
uses the nightly process
I'm-
and uses that as a
Jar.
trigger.
Okay. All right. So it's let me
Problem is we
try.
have overloaded words for,
Stop. Let's try to track back. I get where the confusion is coming from. There are too many moving parts. Can I remove this because you have it written down?
Yes, yeah, that all can be erased.
All right. I know this is confusing because we're doing a lot of workarounds and doing a lot of building on top of things that are already confusing. All right. This works as well. Problem. We are talking about auto-deploy branches, right?
Yes.
All right.
have we created an auto deploy branch that we can use as an example of like that finding and passing?
Yes.
So what's it called?
In EE, it's 11-10- auto
Yeah,
deploy.
So,
Or 11.10. No, 11-10 dash auto deploy. So the tag is dot.
what's the name? 11-10
Dash auto dash deploy dash pipeline ID. That's it.
So like,
There's probably a few of them.
so there's like 001.
One. Yeah, use 10001.
Dash E or no?
We just removed the dash E.
Okay, but this one has E.
Yeah. So. we should
All right.
create a new
So
one.
auto-deploy branch gets created.
Yeah.
Right? When this gets created, we have a CI task. Can you close the window? It's really loud.
Hold on,
Here,
you were not part of the delivery team.
No, I'm not. I just hang out
We're
with you
also
guys for
recording right now.
No, it's fine. Oh, right. Don't say anything
inappropriate.
inappropriate.
I wasn't planning on that.
No, we know you're fine. So we create the auto-deploy branch, right? Automatically on schedule. The next thing is we also have a schedule that will initiate the release by finding the latest green commit on the auto-deploy branch. All right, and this is in release tools. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what this does is it picks all the versions and it stores them in an environmental variable of some sort, right? So let's say Rails auto-deploy branch, I guess, right? 11, 10. No, it's not
It's-
gonna be. It's gonna be a
Yeah, here's an
commit.
example more. It's like server version, 11.133, pages version 1.5, shell version 9.0.
And the SHA here is the Rails version, right? All right. So it's SHA. So SHA, and then workhorse.
Do we pass the real version, Scarlett?
We should be because it's important. And then it says
It should be one of them, yeah.
It's whatever the,
Oh, yeah, okay.
whatever
Scale
the
up version
one
is the
dot,
SHA.
whatever, or I don't know where we are.
8.0.0,
Yeah, whatever,
something
yeah.
just completely.
And same thing with Gitaly, same
8.7.
thing with,
Italy, all
everything
of the,
else.
right.
Yeah.
So what
That's-
this now needs to do, like once it actually found all of these details, it is going to trigger a build.
Really?
Trigger a pipeline, we call it.
Pipeline.
An omnibus pipeline, right?
Correct.
In Omnibus.
But,
With all these versions passed into the build.
I thought tagging triggered the pipeline, because when I look at how we do tagged releases,
Tagging also can create a pipeline as well.
keeps on changing, like, I thought we were tagging the omnibus.
Is there a reason why we cannot plug that in? Like, you can still, you can.
I thought we were tagging for purposes of like, here's what changed between these two versions, not for building purposes.
Okay, I'm having a bit of trouble understanding where the confusion is coming from, because this is fine, it just needs another step in between. And that is, now that you found all of this, you have all of the versions that you just shown, you can just create the tag based on what we created here and pass the versions to that.
The thing is that when we now do a chutops command to tag a release, is the omnibus pipeline triggered, or does it kick off by virtue of tagging omnibus?
It's kicked off by virtue of tagging Omnibus.
And that's what I thought we were doing for the auto deploys, the same thing. And that's how, but I mean, we can change it, but
But, okay.
why wouldn't we do it that way, is the question. And also, does that mess up the way that versions are passed? Like,
I don't know enough about Omnibus to answer the second question.
but I thought, I made an assumption that we were just gonna be tagging, and that,
I think-
which is, it's not hard to change, I just trying to think through, like, the implications of triggering. And, like, if we trigger the pipeline, then is it different than tagging? And would we still tag the omnibus repo then, or, I guess we would, but why not tag it? Like we do with, like, the chutops command to tag.
Omnibus only builds things when the tag's in a specific format, right? It's the x.y.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're changing
so,
that.
so I changed the pipeline, and I actually linked to the pipeline in the delivery passbook channel. And that's what's happening now, like, I tag the omnibus with a specific format, that's the auto deploy format. And then it picks jobs that are necessary to build the Ubuntu package and deploy it to pre-prod.
Okay. Where does it, at that point, where does it pick up the version numbers?
That's what I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that it's looking, the
All right.
tag is the same on EE, but do you know, Maren, or not?
So, all right, okay, I think I understand where this is coming from now.
Because what's in there now is we're basically repurposing the nightly build
Yeah.
trigger.
Yeah, the 90-bit trigger is a bit of a problem because it's very loose. So it just
It
uses
whatever you give it.
whatever is currently in there, in those files,
In
in the
the
version files.
But then what happens when we're giving it these other version numbers?
It uses either the
it
files
overrides.
or the
Yeah.
environmental variables.
Which one wins?
The environmental.
The environment
variables.
will be.
I see.
Yeah.
So
But it won't, like, we can make it work like that, but it's not gonna make it consistent with the tag behavior, which is a problem. Like, how the release tool behaves when you tag an official release. Like, if we introduce this, another option of how this behaves, I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be confusing even more for everyone.
Yeah, and I also really don't wanna change the release tools like official, like monthly tagging behavior, that's just too specific to what we do now, I think we take too long.
But, okay, so a question for you then. We already use release tools to get those versions, right? And you print them out.
Yeah.
What is preventing us from just echoing those things into the versions in Omnibus cloned repository and committing that and then pushing that as a tag? Tagging and pushing that to Omnibus.
Nothing I suppose.
Then the problem solved.
So we tag? Like, so in other words, an auto-deploy build is just like a release candidate.
Yeah.
No difference.
Yeah, that's like if we do this, so you have the green commit stuff, right? Like it gets all the versions.
But then it has to clone Omnibus.
It has to do that anyway, right?
It doesn't. It's triggering the pipeline in Omnibus, and then
Yeah.
Omnibus is building the package with those version numbers that we've supplied to the pipeline trigger, right? Have we actually built the package from the trigger yet?
Yeah, one built last night.
Like, can I just pass true to this thing with the auto deploy branch?
Yeah. It'll take a few years, but something will build. But again, it's abusing the use.
I don't have the trigger token.
It's abusing the nightly build process. So like the package it creates has the word nightly in the
Right,
name
yeah.
of it. So
Yeah, but nightly is a bit different because we
Yeah.
don't care about the version. We just, in Omnibus, all the version files are then pointing to master on all of those repositories.
Yeah.
So we just pick whatever is latest in master
Yeah.
in the satellite repositories.
So just so I'm clear, when we do an RC, when we tag an RC, what actually happens is that we check out Omnibus and we update the versions in Omnibus.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, okay. I thought Omnibus actually went to GitLab EE using the tag and looked at the versions in GitLab EE.
No, it's
No,
it
because
hooks
it would
into
have to-
our
They
existing.
would have to clone
Yeah.
GitLab EE, yeah. Well, I guess like I'm okay switching to a trigger if that makes it easier, but
But the tag is not going to be consistent with what is
I mean-
built. So if you go and open a tag in Omnibus, the version file is going to say something different to what you actually built.
yeah, so it is nice to update the version file in Omnibus, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we
What
should. do
branch
that.
in Omnibus? Oh, we're committing to the auto deploy branch.
Yeah, it's consistent. So there's actually the same auto deploy branch in Omnibus. So this pipeline that I'm running now, which I linked to in the Fastboot channel, this is actually building with old versions. Whatever version, it's not building the auto deploy EE package, it's building whatever version is in the auto deploy branch for EE. And it's,
So in that setup, what happens if we have an auto deploy branch for week one? And somebody is, by whatever work, decides to bump the version in week one. If we try to merge that into the auto deploy branch, we get a conflict. We could say, okay, we always take the version from the auto deploy branch. But I'm not sure if there's other stuff that may depend, that they might get confused, like, oh wait, on master it was 12.0, but on auto deploy it's 11 whatever week 3, what the fuck, basically.
So week one, we create the auto deploy branch and then we're tagging releases and we're bumping versions in the auto deploy
Right.
branch. Week two, we create a new auto deploy branch from master and then we update versions. So I don't think there would
Right.
ever be conflicts.
No, and like, this might be too paranoid, because I don't think anybody ever bumps the version files manually.
Yeah.
It's always the release tooling that does
Yeah.
it.
Or traditional.
Yeah, traditional.
And I also don't think there's anything that would get confused by this, so as long
Right.
as you just explicitly say for the sake of it, the auto deploy version is prioritized over the one from the source branch.
Yes. Yeah, so the version files never get merged back into master
Right.
on the auto deploy branch.
Right.
But that's probably how it works now with the stable branches, right?
Yeah, we never merge back from stable into master.
Yeah.
It's not actually bumping, it's just reading it and then
It's
updating it.
reading, updating, committing. That's the only thing it does. So bump version can be like expanded.
Not really, this is like all this release stuff. Assuming stable branches and master, changelog stuff, yeah. Like I really don't want to deal with modifying stuff right now. I think it's too, the potential to break our actual releases is too high. I'm fine with duplicating it.
Can you go back to Omnibus again? And there's a change log. Returning version is RC, so it ignores it. Probably if it's not SAMWeb, right?
Right, if you give it
So that's going to be
any
ignored.
more, yeah.
That's going to be ignored completely.
Which code are you looking at?
We're looking at release tools in Omnibus,
Uh-huh.
tagging the release. So, all right, ensure branch exists, stable branch, that's the problem. How do we pass it to simple branch?
It's derived from the version number we give this task.
Right, so that means 1110 auto deploy would just be 1110 stable.
I don't know why that's important. That version.
Because that's where we are getting Rails version from.
But why does that have to be less?
I don't remember now.
This stuff I guess we can own.
So, can we just expand this?
Did
Can-
what?
So the thing is, there's a lot of logic there that is tied around stable branches. We need to expand this to be circling around these auto-deploy branches. And the only difference basically is we don't need any changelog behavior. We don't need anything other than ensuring that these branches exist on all remotes. And that the versions that we trigger the green commit stuff, and that we pass those versions, and that we tag based on the tags that we have here defined.
But it also pushes the master of something. It updates those versions.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like we do, like if we just inherit this and override these, like
We inherit omnibus updates?
yeah. There's a lot of logic there that I kind of forgot about. It just works.
It's just been, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It just works.
And the tests are,
This one's yours.
Yeah.
there are tests for it, but they're so specific to, you know,
How this works,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why we should probably not touch this at all, but let's just expand it for the use case we need here. So inherit from this class and then build on top of it. It shouldn't be that much work to do, because you already have the build.
test for master. I mean, at that point, all we're really inheriting from this is like bumping version files, and we might as well just duplicate it at that point.
You're right.
Well, cloning a repository and then bumping the version file.
Mm. Oh man, keep forgetting about things like this. I'd like to keep the tags though. These things for deploying. Makes things way clearer and simpler in Omnibus and the company.
if we do what we have now, where it's triggering an omnibus pipeline with environment variables for each version,
Mm-hmm.
can we create an annotated tag to where the message of the annotated tag is the versions we used? Does that work?
Yeah, but then you go to a tag,
And you see the
the
message?
repository.
Yeah, you don't see the
You don't
versions.
see the version files are
Sure.
different. That's the thing I don't like about it. You know?
Mm.
And how do we, like, we just have a array class to call this green commit stuff, right?
Yeah, so I would envision a new rate test that's just like, well, not even, you would say release tag, and you would loosen the version of certain requirements where it could just take a ref.
Name, can you open the rate file? How do we name, we did a refactor recently just to have the release namespacing, right? So, okay, merge, where's the release? There we go, tag.
So we almost need like a new
We need a new thing.
subclass of version. You already do for Omnibus. But we need like an auto deployer.
I mean, I knew this is gonna be a, or I didn't just realize how much logic we have tied into all this.
Yeah, it's,
Is it easier if we don't tag?
I think the arguments for tagging are valid though, like you
Yeah,
wanna see
I
what
agree.
the release contains, right?
Yeah.
Arguments are valid, but this doesn't make.
But then how long do those auto deploy tags stick around? Do we delete them eventually?
We were
Yeah.
discussing that, and I don't know, like tags
We
aren't
delete them
cheap, but
next.
we
Well, if
consider
they're, if
them.
they're ephemeral, then what do we care? Like,
Yeah, they
what's the
actually
point of creating,
contain,
You're right.
all this care to create these tags
Yeah.
if we don't keep them around?
the name of the tag has the SHA in it.
Right.
So it's not like.
So maybe your idea of adding it
To
in
commit
the message
yeah.
might be good enough.
I think that gets us like 90% of what we're looking for.
Yeah. Don't want to use the I word, but maybe we should just iterate on it.
I mean, this is the boring solution.
It is.
Maybe a viable one. We're still recording, by the way.
I
Isn't
mean,
it
all of this
minimum
is
lovable now?
All of this is true, so this is a minimum allowable change for sure. Are you okay with that, Jared?
Do what? Iterate?
No iteration.
No,
Get it right first.
not that, but just like keeping this thing, and instead of like now reinventing the wheel, just having the tag. So we do tag this, but the tag message actually contains the version of these versions.
Oh, annotate the tag with the name of the
Mhm.
versions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's overloading stuff, but
Why is it overloading stuff?
like tags are not meant to like pass data like that, right?
We're not passing data,
No,
it's just,
no, just informational.
Informational.
Oh, yeah, that would be
That's
awesome.
exactly what annotated text is.
Yeah.
No, I thought you meant like
Yeah, yeah,
instead of
no,
updating the versions in
no, no, no.
Omnibus, we would pass like.
Yeah, it's like, hey, go look at this
tag.
tag for what I'm giving you.
That sounds good to me.
No, I mean, okay, let's make this clear. I see that you're distracted, so let's try to just make it clear. We would not be updating the version files in Omnibus. We would
It's
be
purely
passing.
environment variable.
We would be passing the
Yeah.
versions of these components
Yeah.
to Omnibus as a trigger. So they would still
Okay.
receive the proper versions,
Yeah.
but we would just tag on whatever it is
Yes.
there in the
So
branch.
I need to change the logic then from tag to trigger for doing the build and deploy. Okay, I mean, I had it branch originally, and I switched to tag, might as well do triggers now.
Hey, dude, this is how development works.
Consideration.
Yeah.
But we're already triggering it, right? Isn't that? Like it already builds off the trigger.
It
But
builds
that's
like
for the
a-
nightly, this is for the nightly build stuff, that find the latest, this is not the auto deploy. I mean, like, I know we were gonna adapt that for auto deploy, but I always assumed an auto deploy build was just like an RC.
Well, it is.
I
It
think-
is not like
At the
nightly.
time, I thought that would be the simplest approach, but I guess not.
It is not like a nightly because nightly does not have any version
Yeah,
constraints.
so, and just to be clear, the reason why we're doing it this way in a trigger is because we don't want to check out the Omnibus repo and update versions. And we can't
And
update
also-
the versions through the API, like you can't just update
No.
a single, I thought you could update like a
Yeah,
single
can we give
file.
it new content?
Yeah, can you update a file?
API?
Yeah.
That,
Sorry, say again?
can we use the API to update a file's contents?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
repository.
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I know I've seen this, I've never done it
Absolutely.
before.
The entire web ID is built on the Covenant GitLab API. Everything the web ID can do, you can use.
Yeah, because you can,
Huh.
so let's do
You can
that.
make commits, you can do everything.
Which one?
Oh, that's actually interesting. Why not?
Repository files?
I'm
Update
gonna,
existing files?
yeah, so there's this one, but there's also a commit API that can do more, but then you're gonna look for a commit API. Our API docs are not very well organized, but there's here one that create a commit with multiple files and actions. And it describes all the types of actions you can do, which is basically anything the web ID can do.
So I want to update a file.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's actually really cool. That's relatively new, right?
No, we've had this for years.
As in years, as in
2
It's-
years at least.
it's just not very useful for the like complicated merges and things that we do, but for
No,
this sort of
for
thing.
creating
I would
new
almost
commits,
want to update.
Yeah, this is-
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I mean, let's not go there right now. Let's. That's actually really.
Can we
good.
can we do it this way then?
Yeah, we can.
Great,
I think so.
cool.
So let's do it this way.
So what does it need to do? It updates the files in a branch.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it would have to, before tagging, I
Mhm.
guess, it would
Before
update the files that
To-
it needs to update,
Yeah.
and then it would tag, which would kick off
Can you open again the omnibus version thingy? Omnibus tagging, not the rake file, but omnibus tagging where we update the version, bump version.
Yeah.
This version files.
Mhm.
So we need to use the API before tagging. Right?
So we can cross off trigger.
Yeah,
Delete
yeah.
it. Delete it.
Delete
Erase
it. Again, delete it. All right. API call before. This is call. Okay.
Sure.
API call
C
before-
period always stands for call.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least. API call before tagging, and API call before tagging, nah, I guess I need to.
Just say update version file.
To Omnibus repo. Alright, API call to Omnibus repo.
On
On
dev or .com?
It would
Dot
probably
com.
be on .com.
Because
we
we want
build
to
from dev.
sync, we need to
Yeah.
sync anyway, right?
So it's a protected branch, so it would get synced over to dev if you made it on GitLab.com.
If it's a protected branch, can we use the commit API with the developer user?
It uses the same permissions that the user has
Yeah.
when pushing, so you can't force push, but if the developer can push to the branch, and then
Okay.
can also use the API.
But I would do it on both, I think.
We need
Oh,
to
no.
sync .com to dev.gitlab.org anyway.
But it's
Right.
not gonna happen on demand, like we can't
Yeah,
update these files and then
yeah,
tag.
that's a problem, right?
Well, we can, but then we can't build immediately. Because we have to wait for the sync to happen, and we can't trigger sync.
Yeah,
You
that
can-
sucks.
Yeah.
That's why the release process pushes all remotes.
Yeah, and now you would have to check it out to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could use Moonspring for it.
So you can trigger that.
Oh man, there's so many pipelines. Oh, that sucks. Because if you updated it on both, it would be two different commits, and then you would have.
Right,
Yeah.
you'd have conflict.
Complex.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't conflict, assuming the contents are the same, they would just have different SHAs and it'd say this is already merged.